All right. So we move on to the two scintillating matchups that Buckeye fans will be waiting this entire offseason to consume the first 2 weeks of the season, with the announced kickoffs and networks being, who would have thought a couple years ago, before a new contract was signed, that CBS would be showing Ohio State, or maybe put them off to the side, an Akron University game at 3:30 in week one. But that is the new media system, and that brought us the likes of Maryland and Charlotte in primetime on NBC and other gems.
I was
like
just going to bring that one up. How the hell did that happen?
Steve. That is the go-to.
How the hell did that happen?
And in week two, it's Western Michigan in primetime, Tony, against the Buckeyes on the Big Ten Network.
Yeah, but when did normally the CBS 3:30 SEC games start? Is it like week 3 or so?
Yes.
Yeah, and that's a throwback to them having the old U.S. Open where they didn't. It may have been an old contract that said it didn't kick in till week 3 because they had U.S. Open the first 2 weeks of September or whatever, and the tennis coverage they couldn't do college football. So, and that contract may have been the one that just ended, even though they lost the U.S. Open 5 years ago in totality to ESPN, I think. So, they didn't used to start SEC coverage till later on. That's why, what was it? Ohio State debuted last year on Saturday at Indiana on CBS, I believe, to kind of jumpstart that package because they didn't have to do an SEC game that day. Yeah, what a terrible bargain for them. I mean, the line has already come out. Ohio State's favored by like 50.5 points over Akron, and that's going to be on CBS. That makes no sense, but all that'll be is like the spring game at Ohio Stadium with Fox. It'll just be a celebration of Ohio State football and everything that's good. Hell, you can interview the coaches and the players during the game if you want. I mean, it's looked like the Met got behind that guy right there. What happened on that? Yeah, he just ran a go. We just figured, we're up 27. We just figured, throw caution to the wind. We'll hit him in stride. And I think those guys, their day's about done.
If you go back to 2022, before CBS and the Big Ten were a thing, their 3:30 season opener was Arizona at San Diego State because of their Mountain West contract. So, like, this will do better than that. They're paying more for it, but they're not paying for this for the week 1 and week 2 stuff because that wasn't part of their SEC deal either. So, college football, any game is going to be more entertaining than watching grown dudes hacking around in the U.S. Open high grass, trying to, shoot a 76 to make the cut on courses that, aren't playable. But so the greens will be much better in Columbus, at least for the Buckeyes. And but 3:30 Saturdays on CBS, it just feels like it should be so much more than Akron at Ohio State, but that's where we're at, and everybody's gonna have to enjoy it and make use of it, and then plan your day around it, and just be glad that you don't have to watch it on Peacock.
Tony, if you've been spending a portion of your off season either defending Ohio State's non-conference schedule or just conceding to it and letting people know, hey, I can't defend it, except the caveat that unlike Michigan, there was a legitimate team, of course, in the non-conference schedule that has since moved to the Big Ten during the time frame in which the game would have been played. And Michigan took no trips to the West Coast these past 2 seasons, while Ohio State would be taking 2. And so there is some defense to Ohio State not playing anyone this year.
It's a terrible non-conference schedule. And when I blasted Michigan's non-conference schedule last year, I would also sometimes say, and we'll be doing the same thing about Ohio State's non-conference schedule next year. So it's bad. It's sure, if you want to say that the Washington thing had to be canceled, and there's only the excuse when you have to go find a new team is like, well, there's only a small pool of teams that you can choose from. And really, you can choose from a much larger pool. It might just cost you more in terms of buyouts and things like that, or it might cost you a win or a loss, which is the real reason that some of these games aren't done. And of course, you can't do like a one-off necessarily with a big school unless you do it in a neutral site, which I hate. But no, there's no reason to defend the non-conference schedule. It's bad. You can see it. It's Akron, it's Western Michigan, it's Marshall. The years where Ohio State has no Power 5 or now Power 4 opponents in the non-conference is very rare. But it's a good thing the season tickets have Michigan on the schedule, because this is not what Ohio State fans have become accustomed to, because every other year there's a big school coming in, because every other, with the home and homes that they almost always have. And so, yeah, this is a bad schedule. I don't think you can really criticize Ohio State in terms of always having a schedule like this, because they're one of the few schools over the last 20 years plus that have kind of reclaimed the premier non-conference scheduling in terms of one good team, one average team, one bad team, and two bad teams when it was 8 conference games. So yeah, these are outlier years for Ohio State. But like Michigan buying out the UCLA games before they were conference opponents, and just not wanting to play those. And so like, let's buy it out. And then I don't replace it with whoever, UConn or Hawaii or Colorado State, whichever schools it was. That's a bit different than, we've got this is going to be a conference game, that sort of thing. So I'm not happy about it. I'd rather see something, going to Notre Dame last year was a bucket list. That's one of those things where, you're everything you've seen on television in the movies, you're actually like standing there at that point. And there's nothing like that on this non-conference schedule, but there will be on future.
Yeah. Ohio State, as part of this announcement, put out a 5-game flex pass that includes Akron, Western Michigan, Marshall, and then the Big Ten games against Purdue and Indiana for $289, which is less than $60 per game. So you're actually getting a chance to go see 5 games for less than $60 per game. How competitive those games are going to be, I don't know, but hey, gives you something to do, get out of the house, type thing. So I guess that's how you look at it. So I'll probably have a few people that will take advantage of that and say, okay, I'm not getting to go to Nebraska, Iowa, or Michigan, but I am going to 5 of the games this year. So, whatever. So those games are probably each in the 120 to 150 range, and Michigan probably 200 as a face value, and then secondary market 300-400 probably, but is my imagination.
To address the comment on the screen, our buddy Rob J is making an indictment of me before he actually sees it play out. So I always enjoy those people that actually, precede the actual execution of whatever they're concerned about before it actually happens. So I will say this for my top 25. Yes, Ohio State is going to be ranked appropriate to the opponents on the schedule until they play somebody with a pulse. Yes, we treat, Rob, everyone the same, to the point where I guarantee you, Rob, if you're going to make an idiotic comment like that, what you should do is you should go back and you should look at all my previous top 25s. I guarantee you that I underrank Ohio State versus the AP poll more often than I overrank them. I guarantee it. So that's an unfounded, stupid statement.